UFC 299. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. Looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card after seeing the fighters on the scales. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. And also note, I'll be live for the entire UFC 299 fight card Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss the fight, companion. And let's get into the first fight on the card. We got the ladies going after it. It's Joanne Wood versus Maryna Moroz. My pick all week has been Maryna Moroz. You look at their first fight, she landed good strikes, and then she submitted Joanne Wood very early in the first round. That fight was almost a decade ago. Wood is now 38. I believe she's outside of her prime and deteriorated a bit. I think that Maryna Moroz definitely has better boxing and better grappling. Wood has nice Muay Thai, good kicks, a Muay Thai background, decent working close. But I think Moroz can threaten with takedowns if Joanne Wood is looking to use that Thai clinch. And I do think the hands are going to be live to touch up Joanne Wood. I got Moroz to win. Don't feel like the scales are going to be a substantial factor in this matchup here, but we will look at the ladies and check them out on the scales. We'll first bring up Maryna Moroz. I got to bring a screenshot because MMA Junkie's not showing the pics. She looks in very good shape, actually. Something I noted right away is she looks pretty ripped up and ready to go. She seems like a primed athlete. Now, on the opposite front, we have Joanne Wood. Could be lighting, could be angles, but I don't know. Doesn't look nearly as fit. And I do think she looks 38. I do think she looks like she's towards the tail end of her fighting career, where I think Moroz has more fights left. I got to go with the side, obviously, on Moroz to win. We'll look at them face off, which, you know, always is a good look. We can check them out. Staring down, good intensity. I like the intensity of it. I like Moroz's frame. Look at the back on her. Look at the delts. She looks jacked. And I think that that type of muscularity advantage, which she has, is going to be a factor when you talk about entangling in the grappling department. So we're going to go with Maryna Moroz to win this fight. Now, the question becomes, can she get the finish? It's 299. And I think she would be live for a submission because we've seen Wood in 2 of her last 3 fights lose fights by submission. Moroz to win money line is minus 225. Wood is sitting at plus 190. This fight being a win by submission for Moroz sits at plus 210. Moroz is a plus 105 for decision. I'm torn between sub or decision. I think that Moroz can win this fight by a finish, though, and take out Calderwood or Wood once again. Fight odds doesn't update the damn names. The money line at minus 225 is not a beautiful piece. Becomes more of a long stay and a parlay. Minus 290 for the over. With women's fights, you know, overs are expected. But specifically this matchup, Moroz has a clear-cut jiu-jitsu advantage. Nonetheless, Moroz for the win, and she's a little bit wide of a favorite. Not crazy about a money line. Maybe in a parlay where you want to add a ladies fight. Maybe a submission prop. But I don't love chasing that sub prop because, you know, Joanne Wood is no slouch. And the losses she has by sub are to Talia Santos and Alexa Grasso, who are superior to Moroz. So I don't love the sub line. Sub or decision, potentially as a prop, would be a better look. Moroz for the win, getting it done in this first fight on the card. Next fight on it, we have CJ Vergara versus Asu Almabaev. Vergara came in a pound over the flyweight limit. Something to note, I like Asu Almabaev to win. I've been picking him throughout the entire week, but we'll check these fighters out on the scales. You can see Almabaev looking pretty damn shredded right away here. Like, look at this dude. Jacked, shredded. This seems like somebody who's on the come up right now and looking to become a legitimate contender in the flyweight division. I personally think he's got a shot to be. I like the game. I like the Kazakhstan fighters, and I think that he's got a real good chance to beat Vergara. Now, Vergara, who missed weight, will bring him up. Now, obviously, you can't see his entire torso and the lower abs, but definitely less muscularity and leanness. There's more excess body fat. I do think he's going to get bullied in the grappling by Almabaev, and I'm picking Almabaev by sub. Now, look at Almabaev. Jacked like a fucking bodybuilder, and then you got Vergara, the guy who missed weight, not looking nearly as fit. And I think Vergara loses this fight. I'm going to go Almabaev to win by sub. I think he can get the finish. Listen, Kazakhstan's taking over, bro. It started with Borat. Shavkat came up, and now we got Asu Almabaev. It's an EV as well. Love those last 2 letters, EV and OVs. You know we got to favor them. Almabaev to win. Submission. There's the face-off. Vergara's like, fuck this shit. And he went and rushed into a face-off with Almabaev. I think he's frustrated, and I think also in the back of Vergara's mind, missing weight like this, job could potentially be on the line. I am going to pick Almabaev to finish it. Now, you're not touching money line at minus 550, maybe in a parlay. Almabaev does get comfortable in full guard and sometimes will grind out decisions, but I do think he will win by sub. And CJ Vergara is scrappy and crafty and difficult to control and dominate on the ground, but I think Almabaev has the tools to do so. Almabaev by sub, only plus 110, but significantly better than the minus 550. Not saying that the Almabaev plus 110 is the equivalent of likely as we have with this Almabaev minus 550 straight money line. Almabaev becomes the longer shot parlay piece, and it's not a super valuable prop, but I do think it's a likely prop. It's plus 185 for Almabaev by decision. He has won fights by decision, out wrestling opponents. You can look back to win here against Zach Makovsky, but Makovsky was a really tough wrestler at one point. I'm going with Almabaev. We're going to win. I'm going to call submission. We're going with Kazakhstan. Greatest country in the world to get it done. Next fight on the card. We got heavyweights going after it. Robelis Despaigne versus Josh Parisian. I've been picking Robelis Despaigne, as you all should, because I believe Josh Parisian is a sacrificial lamb in this fight here, and I think that Robelis Despaigne is going to knock him out in the first round, and he seems like a terrifying prospect at heavyweight. 87-inch reach, 6'7". What's not to love about this guy? Let's check the scales out, and let's see how that 6'7" frame looks. Now, Josh Parisian coming in, he looks tubby per usual. I think that, he's ultimately trying to get fit, but his body just be holding that excess body fat, man. I don't know. I don't see him as a top-tier contender with that frame. It's not going to happen. He's a bottom-of-the-barrel guy. He lost to Parker Porter by decision a few years back. Then you got Robelis Despaigne looking pretty damn jacked. Kind of looks like a natty version of Jailton Almeida here. Yeah, Robelis Despaigne for the win. Let's check these guys out face-to-face. Let's look at them nose-to-nose here. Here is the face-off. If Phil Hawes was 6'7" with a chin, maybe that's the look. We got Robelis Despaigne blending in a little Yoel Romero and kind of his own thing that he's got going on. I like Robelis Despaigne. Look at the size edge. And Josh Parisian's a tall heavyweight, but Robelis Despaigne is a freak of nature, and I think he's going to knock out Parisian with ease. Last 3 fights, 13 seconds, less than 13 seconds, I say 12 seconds or less. And then his debut, he won by first round knockout as well. He's a minus 373 line. I'm surprised it's not minus 600. At open, it was minus 500. So people do like Josh Parisian, plus 308. I guess you could say Despaigne is not proven on the ground. He's an Olympic Taekwondo medalist, silver medalist, and he should win by first round knockout. Now, Robelis Despaigne to get a KO is all the way up at minus 300 for the most part. First round knockout, minus 200. Despaigne as a parlay piece, I think, is a lock. So we're going with Robelis Despaigne to win. He's a high confidence pick. Yes, he's a big favorite, and he should style on Josh Parisian, who's lost 2 in a row. Martin Boudet put a pace on him and absolutely fatigued Josh Parisian. I think Despaigne is knocking Parisian out in round number 1. I believe in this 4-0 prospect. I think he looks very good. And beating Josh Parisian, it's a definite. Let's keep running up the card. Next fight on it, we have Michel Pereira versus Michel Oleksiejczuk. I've been picking Michel Pereira to win. Kind of thinking decision, though, because Oleksiejczuk is a former light heavyweight. He's a crafty southpaw with a bit of pop, rips to the body well, has nice hooks and overhands. He's got a good left over the top, which could land. Michel Pereira has been knocked out before against Dusko Todorovic at middleweight outside of the UFC, and Oleksiejczuk, fairly heavy-handed guy, and definitely better than Dusko. Now, that was years and years and years ago. And just because Michel Pereira got a knockout in his middleweight UFC debut against Petrosky, it's not like he's chinning everybody left and right down at 170. Now, he's bigger and he's better here in the middleweight division. We'll look at him on the scale, and we'll see him really filling out this frame. There's Oleksiejczuk, who, if you told me he was the 170-pounder moving up to 85, I'd believe it. It's crazy that he was a light heavyweight for years. And he beat Khalil, well, no contest with Khalil Roundtree, but went long with Dustin Jacoby and had competitive moments. There's Michel Pereira. looks pretty jacked. Looks like a full-size middleweight. I think the jump up in weight was a good decision, because he must have been killing himself to get down to 170 pounds. Let's check out the face-off between these two. It was pretty classy, pretty respectable. Pressure, intensity. Right before they faced off, Michel Pereira's like break dancing, doing backflips and shit. Well, I guess he wasn't fully backflipping, but he was going back, forth, back, forth. The dude's got crazy mobility. And I do think that's a factor in a striking fight with Oleksiejczuk, who's more of a traditionalist boxing pressure fighter, as opposed to Michel Pereira, who's just significantly more athletic and better with all of his weapons. I'm going to go Pereira to win. I'm leaning that decision side. I think that Oleksiejczuk is tough enough to go to the later stages. Over 1.5 rounds at minus 200 feels very likely to me here. I would say it's a high confidence. Money line is minus 144. Oleksiejczuk plus 124. Pereira to win by a decision sits all the way up at plus 270 with a knockout at plus 275. Oleksiejczuk's tough, man. I'm expecting 3 hard-fought rounds with Pereira getting it on the scorecards, but Oleksiejczuk having moments in the fight. I like the over 1.5, and we're picking Michel Pereira to win, and I think he'll look pretty impressive still. I've always liked Michel Oleksiejczuk, man. He's got a tricky style. This is a hard fight for Pereira. This is no absolute, but I do think that he pulls it off. Excuse me for sniffling a bit. I'm still a bit under the weather. Next fight on the card, we got Philipe Lins versus Iwan Cutelaba. I've been picking Cutelaba. I think he can put a pace on Lins. And the face-off was good between these two. I really enjoyed the face-off. Let's check these guys out on the official scales first and foremost. You can see Philipe Lins there. He looks pretty shredded and jacked. I give credit where it's due. And then you look below, Cutelaba, excited, hyped to be there, high energy per usual. And he kept some high energy for these damn ceremonial weigh-ins, the highest of energies. And he also had his Hulk signature all green for this one. I like all green Cutelaba. It was weird. Like, as Cutelaba was pulling up on Lins, Lins was keeping his hands very far out like that. And, like, he looked nervous. Like, Philipe Lins looked worrisome of Cutelaba's intensity at these weigh-ins. Like, he almost felt like the fight was hitting him right there. I think Cutelaba can blitz Philipe Lins. He's a significantly younger guy. I know he's lost some fights. What is he, 1-3 in his last 4? And I know that Lins is on a 3-fight win streak. But competition level, Cutelaba's been in there against pretty decent light heavyweights. Lins, last one, the Maxine Grishin win, who's now released from the UFC, and that was a snooze fest. I'm picking Cutelaba to stop him. Cutelaba is a minus 120 favorite with Lins around plus 100. Looking at Lins to get knocked out. So Cutelaba KO sitting at plus 125. Over 1.5 is plus 110. Interesting. Could go over, but the way that Cutelaba comes out like a fucking cannon, and Lins, if he's a little more calculated and a slower starter, he could get caught. Now, I know Lins has a first-round knockout over OSP recently, but bro, that was the corpse of OSP. That was not Vince St. Preux. Cutelaba for the finish. Next fight on the card, we have Pedro Munhoz versus Kyler Phillips. I've been going with Pedro Munhoz as an underdog to defeat Kyler Phillips by a decision. He's at a reach disadvantage, but everybody acts like he's not used to that. Like, you think Phillips is going to pop him from the outside all night? Kyler Phillips is not a slick, poppy type striker from the outside. He's a loose martial artist from the outside. He doesn't have a snappy style, which I think is something that really would be favorable against somebody like Pedro Munhoz, who does a good job of closing the distance and landing good punches. I think Munhoz could even rock Kyler Phillips in this fight. As far as the betting lines, or excuse me, as far as the face-offs, well, the betting lines, I'll tell you, underdog is Pedro Munhoz. Kyler Phillips looks okay, looks skinny. He lacked muscularity. I think that Munhoz has a grappling advantage on top of a boxing advantage here with Phillips. Then we got Munhoz, who looks jacked and ready to go. I still think he's primed. Age, yeah, maybe not in his favor, but he's a more skilled guy, and I think he's a more physical threat as well. Let's look at this face-off. Face-off between these two. Munhoz is not a smaller dude. I mean, he's 2 inches shorter. He's at a reach disadvantage, but Kyler Phillips is not a master of controlling distance. He's decent from the outside, but he's going to get the gap closed on him. I'm going Pedro Munhoz. It doesn't make sense to me why Phillips is such a big favorite. I know years ago he got a win over Song Yadong. It's a different stylistic matchup. It's a different fight. Plus 174 Munhoz, minus 204 Phillips. I like Munhoz as a straight underdog. Minus 300 for the over 2.5. I like Munhoz just straight down the line. Underdog attack. I do think we go longer. I expect 3 rounds of hard work between these two, and I like Pedro Munhoz to pull it off. I'm going with the dog. I'm going with Munhoz. I think he'll get a win. I mean, he lost to Chito Vera in a fight, and some people had him up 2-0 going into the third. Fight before that, he beat up Chris Gutierrez, and then the O'Malley no contest, and it was still a decent fight for him against O'Malley. I don't think Kyler Phillips should be even close to a minus 220. You want to call him, in the fair enough range of a minus 150, minus 120, but damn, minus 200? That's crazy. Pedro Munhoz is an amazing underdog this week. 37 or not, I still think he's dangerous. We're going Munhoz for the win. Underdog. Next fight on the card, we have Mateusz Gamrot versus Rafael dos Anjos. This is called a passing of the torch fight. Mateusz Gamrot should win. RDA is still solid, and I think he's got fights left in him, especially upper weight class at 170. But I don't love this weight cut to 55. I mean, I know he's kind of been going back and forth, but he's not getting any younger, man. 39 years of age. Let's look at this. There is RDA. From this angle, he looks absolutely shredded. But when you look at him in the video of the weigh-ins, right, and you see his face, he looks very sucked in. The weight cutting doesn't get any easier. But I got to give credit where it's due. The fucking physique on RDA still looks pretty dangerous, man. Pretty shredded. But I think he gets outpaced and loses to Gamrot. There's Gamrot, who looks in great shape as well. And let's look at these guys facing off with one another. The face-off between these two. It's not really a tell-all. The pick's not going to flip or anything. Gamrot looked intense. RDA looks ready to fight. I think Gamrot wins a decision. I think Gamrot puts a wrestling pace on him. I know RDA does have very good grappling, but I think he struggles with the primed Gamrot pace. Gamrot can wrestle all night. I think Gamrot is consistently getting better as well. Looking at the odds, Gamrot is a big favorite at minus 415. I expect him to win. Becomes another parlay piece. RDA plus 345. Over 2.5 likely at minus 290 with a Gamrot win by decision. Minus 170. Damn. If you got it early, you got it at what? Minus 200? Damn, minus 135 is the best that it was at a couple days ago. I like Gamrot to win a decision. I think we're going over. I think Gamrot's a parlay piece. I think it's a passing of the torch fight. RDA recently lost to Vicente Luque, upper weight class at 170. Got out-grappled a bit in that fight. Fight before that, he fought Mr. One-Trick Pony, Brian Barberena, and yes, he's going to win by out-grappling him and subbing him. Lost to Fiziev. Good fight for him. He actually didn't look bad, but that was a year and a half plus ago, and Gamrot just beat Fiziev. Even though it was an injury stoppage, he was looking good in the striking, and I really do believe Gamrot is getting better, and since this loss to Dariush, I think he's gotten better. I mean, he beat Jalen Turner. That's a hard stylistic clash. The frames between those two are complete opposite. I think Gamrot wins this thing. Decision win, Mateusz Gamrot, sending back the legend RDA, man. RDA's body kicks are terrifying, but I don't think it's going to work here. Next fight, we got ladies going after it. It's Katlyn Cerminara versus Maycee Barber. I've been picking Katlyn Cerminara, formerly Katlyn Chukagian, to win this fight throughout the week. She's got a length advantage, a height advantage, and she's a good point fighter from the outside. 2 fights ago, Maycee Barber wins a split decision over Andrea Lee. Like, I know the Hebas fight was a great back and forth, and she did get a finish, and that was impressive, but I'm still pumping the brakes. Fight before that beat Jessica Ai, who was completely washed. Matena De La Rosa, who was never good. Then a Miranda Maverick, very controversial split decision. You look at Cerminara's last 5. Furo, she still won a round against Furo. Hebas' fight was competitive, close. She was, not as impressive, I guess, as Barber was against Amanda Hebas. Fair point. Beat Jennifer Maia, beat Viviane Araujo, beat Cynthia Calvillo. I mean, there's really solid wins for Katlyn Cerminara, opposite just one recent loss to Manon Furo, who's one of the hottest contenders on the come-up right now, who's got amazing striking, who's got length. I think Cerminara can outpoint Maycee Barber, fend off her grappling attacks, and get a W. She's fighting with a little bit of a heavy heart. I guess she's been having some miscarriages prior to this. And she said, I'm taking this fight to get my mind off of all that. And I think she's going to take home a big upset win. There is Maycee Barber. Looks decent on the scale. Looks like Maycee Barber normally does. Cerminara looks fucking jacked. She looks jacked. She looks in great shape. I give credit where it's due. She looks ready to go. She looks primed even at 35 years of age, even being 10 years older. You look at the face-off between these two, there's going to be something you notice. It's the height advantage, and that is going to be the distance striking edge that Katlyn Cerminara needs. And I think she'll be successful with striking from the outside and fending off takedowns. We're going with Cerminara to win by a decision. We're going 3 hard-fought rounds. I'm going with an oversized underdog, again, just like the Munhoz fight. Plus 175. Cerminara. Former surname, Chukagan, we still have here. Barber, minus 205. They're never going to update the last names on fight odds. I mean, Joanne Wood is still Joanne Calderwood with them. Over 2.5, very likely at minus 350. Chukagan to win this fight by a decision, plus 215. Give me Chukagan. Give me Cerminara, whatever we call it. Either name works. Give me her to pull this off as an upset. Underdog win. She's also from Jersey. Jersey ain't taking L's. I'm sorry. Not with Maycee Barber. We're sending Barber back. Katlyn Cerminara for the win. Next fight on the card. We have our featured prelim. It's Curtis Blaydes versus Jailton Almeida. I've been going with Jailton Almeida to win this fight throughout the entire week. I think he's going to take Curtis Blaydes down and win by submission here. I do. I think Curtis Blaydes' wrestling is a bit overrated. And I think that when you have a guy like Jailton with the level of grappling and the takedowns of his own are nasty. Look at how jacked he is, too. One of the freakier physiques here in the UFC. Came in the 240 range. I believe it was 241. Very jacked. Very built. Looks anabolic type build. You have Curtis Blaydes, more of a traditional heavyweight. And you know what's interesting? You're going to see them go face-to-face. Blaydes came in at 257, which is 16 pounds heavier. But as they faced off, tell me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but to me, it looks like the bigger guy is Jailton Almeida. And he's leaner as well. So muscle ratio-wise, I think Jailton's got an advantage. I think in the grappling, he's going to be stronger than Curtis Blaydes. I think he takes Curtis down. I think he can win by sub. I think that Curtis Blaydes' boxing is okay, but it's not great. And if Jailton Almeida is attacking takedowns consistently, I do think Curtis Blaydes is put down. I know he's got decent offensive wrestling, but he's been taken down before. And I think Jailton Almeida is elite with the grappling. And I know people say, bro, he looked like shit against Derek Lewis. Yeah? Well, Derek Lewis sent Curtis Blaydes to the Shadow Realm. So let's not forget about that. Minus 120, Jailton Almeida. Plus 100, Curtis Blaydes. And then Jailton Almeida by sub sits at plus 295. I am predicting a submission here. I think he gets the finish. I think we're going under 2.5, which is minus 185. I like under 2.5 more than under 1.5. Win for Jailton Almeida by submission. I have faith in the prospect on the come up. I think that he's going to look good here. And I think that he can out-grapple Curtis Blaydes and pull off a big win. Blaydes coming off that bad loss to Pavlovich. Completely different style clash here, though. Now he takes on a good grappler. And I think that Jailton's one of the best in the jiu-jitsu department. And I think he wins by sub here against Curtis Blaydes. And the fan base is going to be back on him. There's going to be some love for Jailton Almeida after he strangles Curtis Blaydes. Let's keep running up and let's get to our main card opener. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. It's Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. I have been picking Petr Yan, and I locked Petr Yan to beat Song Yadong. Maybe I'm in the anti-Song Yadong fan club. I don't know. I've picked against him a fuckload. Sometimes wrong, absolutely. But I think I'm going to be right here. Petr Yan is a superior boxer, technically, and he's also more precise with the shots. Yadong has good explosiveness, power, and dangerous hooks, but he doesn't have the fallback and landing takedowns on Petr Yan, something that he went to against Chris Gutierrez. I think Petr Yan could lose the first round, then wins the second and third. He's going to have to up the pace. Normally he takes a round. I think he should take 2.5 minutes and then get going. I'm going to have faith in Petr Yan to bring back the savagery. Now, the Karate Kid villain look for Song Yadong is very marketable. He's in great shape. The bleach blonde hair could be a mythical fighter, or could be the hype getting to his head after a main event. 2 main event, back-to-back wins on some fight nights. Yan looks incredible. Jan looks absolutely shredded, motivated to come back. He's not out of his prime. He's 31. Yes, Yadong is younger at 26, but Petr Yan is absolutely still primed, and his losses are to the best of the best. Okay, Moroz got him last time. Fair, and that was a bad loss. We're going to play a slew of face-offs here because there was multiple moments. It got intense right away, and it seemed like these two were ready to scrap, and Dana White and the security had to break them up. But, you know, they did calm down, and I actually don't think they were really going to get to blows. They did eventually let them truly face off. You can see here, and then we got part number 3, the best part, which is the true face-to-face between these two, which we'll bring up right here. I'm going with Petr Yan. I think Song Yadong is tough. I think he gives a gutsy effort, but I think he loses on the judges' scorecards against a more technical and precise fighter in the Russian Petr Yan. He's going to smash. You got to smash the guy. We're going with Yan. We're going with Russia. We're going lock of the week. You know I go with these Russians a lot. I got to go with the Russian savagery. Yan's coming back with a vengeance. Minus 124, Yan. Song is plus 104. Over 2.5, minus 275. Yan to win by a decision is plus 135. I do think he wins a decision. I do think we go over, which is minus 275. And I think Petr Yan gets it done as a very close money favorite against a skilled guy in Song Yadong, but not going to be the winner. Petr Yan for the W. Yan, decision over Song Yadong. Let's keep running up. Next fight on the card, as I do a light nose wipe to keep things, clean and professional. We got Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena. I have been picking Jack Della Maddalena throughout the entire week here. We will look at the scales and check these savages out. Something I found interesting to note is when Jack Della Maddalena did weigh in, he didn't look extremely happy with a 170-pound weight. I don't know if he was trying to come in a 171, but he looked good. I don't know. His body language wasn't great. Burns had great body language. Burns looks ready to go, which is concerning if you're betting the side of Jack Della. As far as the actual ceremonial weigh-ins, something that I always hate, right, is when fighters keep the damn jacket on. I don't know why, but he kept the jacket on, right? We don't get that true comparison of them side by side. Both guys are jacked. Both guys are in shape. I'm going to pick Jack Della to win a hard fight. I think he could knock Gilbert Burns out, and I've said that all week because Burns could get caught in the pocket. Somewhere that a lot of these recent opponents for Gilbert Burns didn't really shine was infighting with the hands. Jack Della's got some of the best boxing in close. I'm going with Jack Della to win. I'm still going to pick him. But Gilbert Burns, he's going to be looking for takedowns. I think Jack Della's going to be hard to take down. Odds for the fight. Burns is a plus 145 underdog with Jack Della minus 170. The betting side is not all that intriguing to me. Over 1.5 minus 210 is very likely. Della by a KO plus 160. Not into it. A decision is plus 350. That's interesting because Della could win a hard-fought decision. He can go 3 rounds. He's coming off back-to-back split decision wins. But just because he's coming off back-to-back split decision wins doesn't necessarily mean that he couldn't knock out Gilbert Burns because the styles ultimately make the fights. Burns, 10 years older, not going to be the factor into why I'm picking Jack Della. I just love the boxing. I think he's got a very tricky style. I think he's a slippery guy, and he's going to be hard to deal with. If he keeps the fight IQ strong, doesn't shoot for any stupid guillotines, I think he can beat Gilbert Burns. And I do think knockout is live. Jack Della Maddalena for the win over Gilbert Trujillo Burns. And I think he's a contender with this W. Next fight on the card, featured bout of the night, Kevin Holland versus Michael Venom Page. I have been picking Michael Venom Page. The UFC has a new MVP all week. We're going to check them out on the scales. And then, of course, we'll bring up the face-off as well. Let's scroll on down. MVP. Looking lean, slim, slender. Kind of looks like Slenderman, in all honesty, with that bald head. Kind of scary. And opposite him, he's got a very weird and unorthodox striking style, which I think can give Kevin Holland trouble. There's Holland looking lean, ready to go. Both guys, similar statures, long guys that are tall with good quickness, too. But I think Michael Venom Page's kicks are going to be interesting here. Now, the face-off between these two, it started off quality, intense. MVP raises his hand, which is something that he always does. He brings the arm up like that. And then, instead of just letting that happen, we had an intimate moment. between these two fighters is they held hands here. I thought this was funny as shit, man. Holy fuck. They held hands at the end. I'm going to pick Michael Venom Page to win a decision. I don't know. I think it's going to be like a good scrap, but at moments maybe even sparring-like with MVP dancing a bit, Holland taunting back. They talked about having the first ever in-cage podcast, and that's what it might look like. Page is plus 111. I like the underdog. Holland is minus 131. I think we're probably going over at minus 165, but I like the underdog Michael Venom Page line. Holland's a hard guy to put away. If Page was to knock him out, that's all the way up at plus 425. It is possible because he's a fucking terrifying striker. He destroys kneecaps. He destroys skulls. He's got a lot of highlight reel knockouts. But Kevin Holland is a stern test. Holland obviously coming off that close loss to Jack Della Maddalena. I think Michael Venom Page can outstrike him. Competitive fight, but Michael Venom Page's fight. And I think he wins his UFC debut. And I'm very intrigued in what could be next for Michael Venom Page with a huge win over a fan favorite like Kevin Holland. MVP for the W by decision over Kevin Holland. Co-main event of the evening, we have Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint Denis. I've been picking BSD since this fight was announced. I've called the submission. I think that he will weather Poirier's storm. I think Benoit Saint Denis will find ways on top, find ways to the back, and rear naked strangle is the official prediction. I think he's going to submit Dustin Poirier. But listen, Poirier's not coming to lose, okay? The dude is looking absolutely jacked and shredded. But first, is that a serial killer? Is that Benoit Saint Denis? The dude looks like a strangler. Holy shit. The South France strangler. If you told me he's got bodies, I believe it. I mean, he is like the French equivalent to a Navy SEAL. We're not trying to make assumptions here, but that looks like a man that's killed somebody before. And I think it is. I'd be scared on the other side of him. Holy shit. Holy shit. Then we got Poirier, tough Louisiana native. Dude's a savage, and he's got great boxing, and he's scrappy, and expect a war. I expect a bloody war. I think there's a real live chance that this could be fight of the night. Hey, maybe even fight of the year. This is a BMF type of fight here. And we're going to look at the face-off between these two. We got multiple. I'm going to give you multiple shots for this fight. We got the first from distance, a little blurry, but, you know, Poirier intense. He was bouncing back and forth, which is why it's a little blurry. Saint Denis, very calm, looks a lot taller. He's got a big height advantage, man. And he's long, too. I like Benoit, man. I think he's got a real tricky frame for Dustin Poirier to deal with. And then we got the closer face-off. Respect between both these guys. They're ready for war. High intensity in both their eyes. But listen, Benoit Saint Denis has won the face-off. He looks prepared to kill tomorrow. And I'm picking him to win. And my confidence has actually rose in Benoit Saint Denis since this face-off, since the weigh-in. Even since yesterday, he looked very confident at the presser. He's minus 202. It's crazy to see Poirier, who just fought for the BMF belt, being this big of an underdog against a prospect whose biggest win is Matt Frivola. But I think that just shows what people are seeing in the potential of Benoit Saint Denis. Minus 202, he should win. I think we're going over 1.5. I think we're going under 3.5, which is minus 225. I'm picking Saint Denis by sub. Submission win for Saint Denis is sitting at plus 165. I do think that happens. Saint Denis by sub in the third round. Let's see. Third round submission for Saint Denis plus 850. I'm predicting third round. That'd be a real Mystic Mac bet. But I like that third round. It could be earlier. Could be the second. So plus 550 for a second is not crazy. I'd be kind of shocked if he did it in the first. But I think he's going to have to deal with Poirier early being very difficult. But eventually, as the fight wears on and it settles in, I think Benoit Saint Denis is going to find the back and he's going to strangle Poirier. The chin of Benoit, I'm not saying he's not going to get rocked and cracked with bombs. I'm just saying he's going to eat him and keep coming. And Poirier's going to say, what the fuck is this French animal on the opposite side? We're going God of War, Benoit Saint Denis for the submission win over Dustin Poirier. And I think we're looking at a future title challenger here. I'm very excited for what's next, man. Main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. It's Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Chito Vera 2. Highly anticipated championship rematch. Sean O'Malley has been my pick throughout the entire week. Marlon Vera getting a shot, maybe because of the perfect timing, right? He's coming off a win over Munhoz, but before that, he did get shut out by Corey Sandhagen. Granted, it was a split decision, but he lost that fight. he has a win over O'Malley, so he's in this spot. And the damn crowd is going to be behind him. I do think that the Ecuadorian fans are coming out with a vengeance to UFC 299. Now, stylistically, what I see is Sean O'Malley is so much quicker from the outside, so much more precise from the outside, so much more snappy on his shots. But Marlon Vera just needs one moment, and the dude is incredibly durable with a crazy gas tank. And we've never seen him dropped or knocked out. I'm going to pick Sean O'Malley to win a decision. He's going to have to dig very deep in this fight, because Marlon Vera is live in every round to land that devastating shot. But I think O'Malley is in the best form we've ever seen. I think he's going to be as precise as he's ever been. And I think Sugar Show is getting it done in front of the Miami fans. I think he beats Marlon Vera by a decision. Vera will give a gutsy effort. He's representing Ecuador. Obviously, the people are behind him. We're going to bring up the face-off, okay? We're going to look at these two. This is going to be an intense main event. And I expect the crowd to be going absolutely crazy. Vera had a hard weight cut, but he made championship weight. Was on point, but yo, look at him. He looks like he had a difficult cut. Does that mean the Ecuadorian chin is going to give out? Hard to say. I know some people like O'Malley by KO, and I don't think you're crazy because he's got the ability to land those type of shots, but Chito Vera's in such crazy shape. I just can't call him getting knocked out. There's O'Malley, looks very good. Looks like he's entering the fucking Matrix, as well as looking kind of like, I don't know, 2024 version of Ronald McDonald. And let's look, though, at the face-off between these two savages. The championship face-off between these two. That's CJ Vergara, not the right match, man. This is the championship face-off between these two savages. Right here. Bam. Good intensity, some shit talk. We're going to find out. Now, in the interviews that were, followed up, I actually enjoyed what was said by both. Marlon Vera was asked about this opportunity and, what it means for him to have beaten Sean O'Malley before and now challenging for the title. He said he's happy and grateful to be here, and he's going to make the people of Ecuador proud. And he knows they're behind him. And he claims he's going to be a champion, spoke some Spanish, but El Campeón was something that I gathered from that. And I'm excited to see it. He looked confident as hell, and the people went nuts. Now, O'Malley on the opposite side, he was asked by Rogan about the first loss being a fluke and how important is it to beat Vera for this time, this time out, get some vengeance and defend the world title. He didn't really answer that, but he said, Miami, you're incredible. Who in here wants me to knock Chito Vera the fuck out? And the crowd went nuts. So anybody saying there's going to be no O'Malley fans is completely wrong. I know there was a lot of chants of Chito, but there's going to be a lot of people still backing O'Malley in Miami. And he finishes out with saying, I love you, Joe Rogan, which has become his signature, man. We've seen it after, he broke his foot in that fight against Sukmoth years ago. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right, but shit. Sean O'Malley? Sukumtath. Yeah, that's the fight. Sean O'Malley's my pick, but you got to love Chito Vera, man. Special needs daughter, getting the surgery for her, for fighting for his family. Like, how do you not love Chito Vera? If he pulled it off, it'd be a heartfelt story, but I do think it's the Sugar Show's time. Minus 251, Sean O'Malley. Marlon Vera, plus 211. Fuck, man. Over 4.5, minus 155. Betting side terrifies me in this fight. O'Malley by decision, plus 125. Not for me. I think I'm leaving O'Malley out of the bets, man. Vera by KO, plus 340. O'Malley by KO, plus 225. I don't know. Over a round and a half. We're going minus 650. That'll happen. Over 2.5, I think, is likely, around minus 325, minus 285. Over 3.5 is live too, minus 210. I'm saying it goes long. I'm saying O'Malley by a decision win, but I'm not betting on that. And O'Malley's a big favorite to throw down money line. So get a damn text message over here. It opened up at minus 220. Sean O'Malley for the win. I got him taking out Chito Vera by decision, so I guess not exactly taking him out, but I do think he beats him. Now, we're not done just yet. We got to close out the show with some parlays. Listen, I have a magical parlay that I do believe hits, okay? It's going to be more on the safer side, but I think on the higher likelihood side as well. Now, Asu Almabaev, okay? We're putting him on the lineup with Mateusz Gamrot, and we're putting him in with Robelis Despaigne. Minus 109, so not great, but I do think it happens. This over in the Oleksiejczuk fight feels very good to me. Plus 201. Now, if you want to keep out Almabaev, maybe you're not feeling, Kazakhstan like I am, okay, you still got plus 155. But maybe you're like, bro, Robelis Despaigne, Taekwondo, that ain't high tier for MMA. You got minus 105 for that over in Gamrot, which is honestly still a beautiful line. Now, if you want to throw some savagery at it and really look to heat shit up, you throw Munhoz as a dog, you got almost plus 500. Okay? Which I like. I think there's a good chance of that. What's the under here? An under 4.5 in this fight brings you to plus 604. That's interesting, too. Munhoz, Jan on your lineup, plus 910. The ladies fight, do we even have an over? Yeah, we have an over for the ladies. Plus 1162. I think this one's got a good chance to hit. Now, if you don't want an underdog in Munhoz on your slate, take them out, plus 341. You don't want Jan, you got plus 144. But maybe you want to add in Despaigne. Okay, you got plus 218. And maybe you also want to add in early night Almabaev, plus 276. I think this one's a hitter, too. Jailton Almeida, plus 607. I'm going to go nuts with a little chaos to close it out with some closer lines on some things before I just add in, you know, the high confidence, big lines. All right, Jailton Almeida, who I am picking to win. I think he pulls this one off. Mixing it in with Pedro Munhoz, Petr Yan, and Michael Venom Page, plus 1985. Ballsy call, savage call, but I think it happened here. Plus 3,000 with Benoit, but now we're reaching, man. Now we're reaching a lot. I don't want to reach too much. Now, if you're feeling like Benoit Saint Denis got a good chance, you go EV early in the night, you go Benoit Saint Denis, and you go Mateusz Gamrot, plus 119. I like these three as well. It's like an alternate violence type play, alternate savage mode. Almabaev out of it, you're still at minus 118 for Benoit and Gamrot. And I know Benoit's not necessarily proven just yet against the highest level, but I got a good feeling that he's strangling Dustin Poirier. Let's see. If we just go D-Gen mode, Benoit Saint Denis by submission, plus 165. Mateusz Gamrot straight down the center. Robelis Despaigne, I'll just put him in money line, plus 330 for that. The over in this fight, over 1.5, plus 575. Pedro Munhoz as a dog. Petr Yan. Do I go Jailton by sub? Do I risk it all? Something says don't. Just go. Let's go here. Plus 3,387. If you like Cerminara as a dog, but, you know, you can go crazy adding Cerminara to like an underdog parlay. The over, though, probably hits as well. Plus 4,259 for this chaos. I'm throwing some degeneracy at the end, but the early ones are the safer calls, and I think they got a good chance of coming through. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's weigh-in recap show. Make sure you all smash the likes, and if you're new, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everybody tuning in. See you all for the Fight Companion. Much love, my people. Let me know what you thought of the picks in the comments. If you got nothing to say, just enjoy the content as always. Drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Much love, everybody. And I'll see you all for the Fight Companion. Peace.